Welcome back. This is Chris McHugh again with One Light Insights, Mystical Insights. This is the special video series known as Discovering Your, or Tapping into Your Psychic Talents. Yeah, I'll have to look at my notes over there. And let's get started with the fundamentals of what this is all about. I'm going to go ahead and transition and pull up my notes here, and then we'll connect in a second. Welcome back. Okay, I've gone ahead and brought out the chart that I created ahead of time so that we had a kind of a path to go through so I can go through the fundamentals with you so that you are completely clear about some of the concepts that are necessary to understand in order for you to truly embrace and understand the sacred arts and mystical aspects to what we're going to review over the next 5 videos, or the next 4 anyway. So basically, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at the idea of a non-dualistic approach. Basically, what we want is to come from a perspective where we have to understand that there are 3 possible ways that we can interpret anything when we look to the future. So anytime we're looking to the future, what are we doing? We're doing what's known as prophesizing, okay? Whether or not we recognize that we have the ability or not, anytime we are moving into the future of thought, we are really prophesizing. The funny thing is that there are 3 ways it can go, as I said. You can be a complete optimist. That means that no matter what, it's for the best. Okay? That kind of person is pretty rare. I identify that way. 2, dualistic. You have good days and you have bad days, just like the weather. And then there's the 3rd, which is, holy crap, life is horrible. I'm the energy vampire, really. I'm going to look for people, or the person that has all the ideas but never listens, okay? Typically. So these are the 3 things. Now, if you're going to be a fortune teller, or if you're going to live life in general, here's some good advice. Be this guy, the guy that's always optimistic, or the woman that's always optimistic. You do not want to be any of the other 2, because if you're a fortune teller and you let negativity into your fortunes, you're going to lose clients, and you're going to scare the crap out of them. And it's not good for business, and it's not good for you, because what you're doing is you're actually sowing negative karma by speaking evil, right? You don't see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. So as we look at this chart, that's important that we adopt what's known as a non-dualistic or unifying connection with the client or the individual friend, family member, whoever, ourselves that we're working with. So it's always positive. And even though in life you might say, well, Chris, that's not true. You can't always be positive. There are things in life that are not positive. And to that I would say, that's your relationship with it. And it's something to work on if you want to try to be optimistic all the time. And we'll get to that in a second. So there's your non-dualistic approach versus your dualistic approach, okay? From there, and here was the diagram I drew. I don't know that you can see it, but basically there's a little black dot in the middle, and I call this the collective consciousness. Now understand that based on the concepts I'm discussing here, that there are 2 selves. There is your relationship with the false self, which is the little box that you've put around your life, beliefs. Now, I'm not saying you specifically, it could be people in general, maybe you're a self-God actualized individual living in Christ consciousness, but the majority of people aren't. And for them, it's dualistic, right? Myself and the others. In a non-dualistic perspective, you are connecting with what connects us all. This is a crucial component if you're trying to connect with an individual at a deep level, like psychic connection. So moving from there, we're looking into karma, and we're understanding that in life, there's a system, a ballet at play, where all of our dreams are interacting with one another. Now remember, not everybody has positive dreams, and thus, our reality. This is a delicate framework, and what I mean to share with you is, suppose for a moment that It's the fact that we don't have the broadness of awareness to see how everything's interacting outside of time and space, believe it or not. As if all that ever occurred happened and took into account every dream and every prophecy that anyone could ever tell, and that it's happening in real time. In actuality, it's almost like we are connected, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So if you see over here, I drew this little Om symbol, but really it's the three universal laws. And what these three universal laws basically are what I'll call the framework of all the laws that we see in creation. So the first one is the law of attraction. Now on a material level, you'll see that based on the sciences of celestial bodies, but on a human-to-human level, you're going to see this with emotions. So you're going to see negative people surrounded by negative people. You're going to see positive people surrounded by positive people. You're going to see wealthy people surrounded by wealthy people. You're going to see these kind of trends, right? So you might say, well then why would a negative person like accost or take advantage of somebody that's a positive person? You say, well, they're trying to be a positive person, but they let fear in, and that let in an opportunity there. So we will get to that in a moment. But so basically there is the law of attraction, which most of us are familiar with, okay? Most of us know of, I believe, the book by Rhonda Byrne's, The Secret. Okay, that's a very popular book, and if you haven't seen that, I recommend checking that out. The second one is choice. Now, choice is fundamental, right? To go with the flow or to go against it. To do otherwise, to force love, to force someone to go with the flow in unity, well, that's not unconditional love now, is it? So even though it's silly, the very thought of moving into separation, it's a choice, and it has to be honored. And the last one is exchange, and it's the law of equivalent exchange. Now, basically, the law of equivalent exchange outlines the idea that in life there is always change. It's a constant. Because there's always change, you have a relationship with the concept of sacrifice and boon. Sacrifice is when you are going to give something of the self. It can be humility through the false self, in other words, your ego, humbling the ego, admitting you're wrong, or admitting you could be wrong, or washing someone's feet, I guess, is an example of that. And then on the other end, the boon is a check you receive in the mail, or maybe you get a phone call from a publisher and you're just writing a book. Which happened to me today, funny enough. So then we look at the equivalent exchange and understand that we have the power to willingly sacrifice in knowing it and do so with a positive attitude, in which case the sacrifice is actually honored, or we can wait in life until life does it for us. And typically when we move through life kicking and screaming, being pulled kicking and screaming, it's not as enjoyable. So I recommend looking for opportunities where you can do a sacrifice that is not ritualistic necessarily. For example, throwing some rotting carrots into the field for animals, or I said earlier, if you find yourself in the middle of an argument, admit you could be wrong. Listen and say, you've got some great points, and praise the individual. It's a great way to build your energy and their energy. So those are your three laws, and those laws work together to create, and I'm going to show what it does here. So again, the choice, here you have the law of attraction, positives and negatives and equality, equaling it out, right? Kind of like a toroid, if you've ever seen a toroid, like an apple, right? And then you see over here, you can see the equivalent exchange, the same idea, a positive and a negative. There's equality, but in the center there's a crossroads, and this creates like a toroid experience where you can move toward the unity, which is kind of, for me, the way to go, or you can move through separation. But here's the thing, the choice is an illusion, because if you decide to go to separation, eventually you're going to fall into mediocrity, yeah, because it's just you, it's lonely, right? Doing it all for me. Then you fall into unhappiness, right? And because you got the weight of the world, everything's on you. And then eventually, two options. either you commit suicide or hit rock bottom and do the same thing through drugs and alcohol or some other vice, or you turn to God and you turn to community and you ask for help. And when you ask for help, or maybe you were lucky enough you didn't have to go through all this, but most people do, you end up in unity. So from unity, you have connection to what I call the spirit or collective consciousness. Now, for the sake of keeping this on the brief side of a video, which is actually probably going to be pretty long anyway, again, thank you for taking the time out. I hope you're learning. Basically, when we're talking about unity, it's a connection with the collective consciousness. Now, imagine for a second if I told you that you are two selves. You are a false self, which is your body. It's the illusion of separation. You are your history, your past, all of the lives you've lived, perhaps. But you're also this collective consciousness, this one soul, this one Godhead, I suppose you could call it, or ether, where all potential ideas, everything that ever has been, all the souls, every potential soul that's coming and every soul that's out, they all meet there, and we share that consciousness. Now this is a trip, right? Because what I'm essentially saying is, it's tappable, it's tap-intoable. And you can actually speak from there, which is what I do, okay? So, even in these videos. But as you're going through life, sometimes we fall back into our habit, right? Our habit of playing a role and being the false self instead of identifying as the collective consciousness. Well, this takes time, and it's not something that happens right away. But as it happens and you fall out of duality, this is the phi symbol, the up arrow, the 1 and the 0 on top of each other, not separate, like 10 is separate, right? They're together as one number, 1.666, or the golden ratio. Now, if you're not familiar with that, I'll be doing a video on that soon, so you can check out on that. From there, in non-duality, you have what's called synchronicity. You realize that because of what you attract, and because the choice that you've made to be in unity, and because you're consciously sacrificing, oftentimes just with humility and recognizing that the false self is ignorant and curious, and that's a good thing, and not defining yourself, what that does is it moves you into a state where you start to see coincidences stack on top of each other, stack, until faith becomes belief, and until belief becomes actually understanding how these synchronicities work. It's really cool. Then from there, you start to develop something called fearlessness. You start to realize that these coincidences are resonating to your vibration, and because you're only vibrating at a high state, you never run into the issues that typically befall people who do have fear. And because of that, it becomes a feedback loop where you're only attracting positivity. It gives you boldness to speak your mind and be true, as I have been in this video. And because of that, you can be accurate in your readings. So it's really important to be, and it's deep, to be connected at this level with the individual in unity. Because if you come with the false self, now it's not about them, it's about you and them. So it's about you really, in some ways, some cases, and I hate to see this, when a medium or a reader actually puts themselves above the red. No. How many times can I tell you that I've learned from the readings that I get? So that is your introduction to this special how to tap into your psychic talents segment, the first video of One Light Insights, Mystical Insights. My name is Christopher McHugh. Thank you so much for visiting onelightinsights.com. One last thing I will leave you with is that another aspect of my business is abundance and inspiration coaching. It's what I love to do. It's what I was made to do. This is more of a hobby, but I really enjoy it just the same. And opportunities that I have if you're looking to kind of bring abundance into your life and make some changes in your life. Thank you so much again. My name is Chris McHugh. Please make sure you share this link and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Thanks again. Take care.